Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to Eclipse season, and today I want to share a few things that have come into my awareness that might be helpful to you, that you might recognize within your own journey, and also something that I learned within the last couple of weeks that I want to share with you. I was on vacation for a good part of the last 2 weeks, so that's why you also haven't heard from me. And if I didn't go on vacation for any other reason, because the weather was horrible, I went so that I could post this information for you. And it was pretty profound, and I'm going to tell you the story today. So we'll start with that, and then we're going to move into a couple other things potentially and just kind of see how this goes. Anyway, I hope you're doing well during the eclipse season. As you know, this is such a powerful time of just upside down energy. The visual they've given me is of like a volcano and the eruption of, and the flipping upside down. And we'll talk about how that is kind of manifesting potentially in our journeys. Anyway, as we know, the collective, it's just every day there's something new to consider. And as we know, worry mode doesn't help. What we need to do as people going through this journey that are consciously aware of it, we need to center in ourselves, ground in ourselves, continue to work from within to create the without. So anyway, we've talked about that previously, but again, eclipse season is really here to open up that wide. And one thing I will mention about eclipse season is, we can kind of sit here and say, well, it happens twice a year. What's the big deal? It happens twice a year. Well, what they said to me recently was, well, it's not that simple. And they're talking very much about how the times we are in, in a sense, it's a cumulative effect in that one leads to the other, but there's can also be a greater emphasis at a certain time frame of an eclipse season than there might be prior. And I think the best way to put this in words or in examples is if you look at what the sun has been doing. As we know, we've been in a solar maximum, and we have just seen the sun shouting out loud, right? Just screaming, right? It's all part of our journey forward. But again, what we get with this eclipse season, these eclipse seasons, is also that greater emphasis energetically, just so you know. It's all in support of this higher consciousness, growth in the collective, the move into the awakening, and what we call the ascension journey, all right, to higher consciousness, right? Higher way of living collectively, individually and collectively. So I want to tell you my story because honestly, oh my gosh, I've never had a vacation like this. We were up, this is my mom and me. We travel a lot together, and there's all these magical stuff that happens when we're together. Not like I expected, but then something will happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why. But we were up in the Boundary Waters of Minnesota, which, if any of you know that area, it's absolutely stunning. It's full of pine trees and lakes, the 10,000 lake thing in Minnesota, right? And it's real. It's very real. We were in Ely and we were in Grand Rapids. If any of you, like I said, Minnesota, it's about 2 hours apart. Anyway, it did nothing for the 9 days, but this is not an exaggeration. From the day we got there to the day we left, it was on 70s on the side. We had a Canadian cold front come in. It rained, was windy, and it was in the 30s and 40s. We were lucky to get in the 50s. My bike stayed in my car the entire time. I never got to hike. There was no outdoor anything. So we made lemonades out of lemon and did things like, go to farmer's market, go to some of the cool, I would highly recommend the International Wolf Center. We were going to do that. Anyway, they have like a rescue bear center as well. Black Bear Center, pretty incredible. So we did a lot of cool things. We did also a Native American museum, the Ojibwe. So there were a lot of neat things that we did. But needless to say, the weather was awful, like awful. And so anyway, what was really interesting was what showed up one day. And I'm just going to tell you straight out the story, and then I'm going to give you what they said at the end. Because honestly, well, I'll just leave that for the end. Anyway, so here we are trying to decide what to do in Grand Rapids, what there is to do when it's raining out and there's nothing that we can actually do outdoors. So I was looking through the list, and all of a sudden I said to my mom, "Oh, did you know Judy Garland's home is here? Like she grew up in Grand Rapids," which was kind of weird. And they showed the picture of the house and everything. And it's a museum now. They have the red slippers, one of the pair, and it's a big deal, right? And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's hilarious." She's like, "No, I didn't know that." So anyway, we were not that interested in that. And many of you probably know Judy Garland was the actress who played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. So anyway, that kind of came and went, and we went and did other things. And then I think it was that next day. This is the day before the lunar eclipse. This is important. This is the day before. Now remember, we're in the eclipse energies, not just on that day, but before. So the day before, we ended up going to a restaurant, and as was expected, it started raining again, even though it hadn't really stopped, but it would just be cloudy skies and cold and windy, and then it started raining again. I looked at them and I said, "Oh my God, it's raining again." I said, "Could you believe it?" Anyway, so we get ready to leave. We go out, it stopped, and the sun comes out. As we're, kind of heading toward the door, sun comes out, and kid you not, I walk out the door, and right in front of us, like it was made just for us, was this rainbow. In all my many, many, many years here on this earth, I have never seen like this. I've seen rainbows. I've never seen one like this. It was a full-on rainbow with every color accentuated. And the thing is, I don't know about you, but the purple at the bottom is always kind of like, you don't really see that as much. It was so accentuated. Every single color was just like somebody painted stripes. And then a double rainbow showed up. It was full on, full color. And my mom and I walked out, and we were the only ones that were going out at that time. And I stopped, and she looked at me, and I looked at her and said, "Oh my gosh, we're supposed to see this." That just came flying out of my mouth. I said, "We're supposed to see this." I said, "This is wild." And so we stood there astounded. Never seen a rainbow like this. Now, you might say, well, a rainbow's a rainbow. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because this was like one sent from the powers that be. It was really crazy. And when you really think about rainbows and you really look at them, really with intent, they're so magical. I mean, you think about those colors that are presented. I mean, talk about a message, right? So anyway, we end up getting in the car and getting ready to leave to go back to our lodge. And we're driving down one of their main highways. I'm just driving, no big deal. It's still raining. The rainbow is like following us, or, it's off to the left, and it's just there, as big as life. And no sooner do we get going about a mile down, rainbow's still there. All of a sudden, I happen to, how it works, your attention gets directed to certain things, kind of like, when you get the numbers, you see the numbers. My attention got directed to the sign that said, Judy Garland Museum, and there is Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, with a rainbow over her head. That's their sign. And I all of a sudden said, "Oh, look, that's Judy Garland's home." So I pull in, and I said, "Let's go look at it." And it was closed, but I said, "Let's go look at it." So we go in, and remember, day before the eclipse. We go in, we drive around the parking lot. The house is just darling. I mean, it's this old, beautiful, white clapboard home that you would just want to move into. And you could tell it would have been in the country at the time. It was just absolutely lovely. Anyway, as I round around and I look over to my left, the rainbow is even more accentuated. Suddenly, you might think I'm a little slow on the uptake. I said, "Oh my God, Mother," I said, "this is all meant to happen." I said, "Look at the real rainbow. We've got Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz with the rainbow." And I said, "The thing is, it's one of the biggest signs and messages I've gotten on this awakening journey for me individually, but as a collective." I said, "As a collective, The Wizard of Oz is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for this journey of the yellow brick road, but the rainbow." Now, mind you, in all the times I've gotten The Wizard of Oz, I've never had the rainbow be the thing. It's mainly the yellow brick road, the moments of stepping slowly as she did. She took her time on the road, had all these things occur, because remember, the yellow brick road and what I brought through is the journey, is the spiritual journey. And she encounters all these things, all these people. And then the wizard is this supposed to be scary man, right? Or this scary godlike figure. And he's just a man behind a curtain, right? Anyway, that's the stuff that's typically come through. Never the rainbow. Never the rainbow. And now here we have the real rainbow. A real rainbow that is, I've never seen like it before. It's still double. I'm staring at the sign. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is something we're supposed to see. So we leave. I'm astounded. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And we start leaving, and I'm just like, blah. And I thought it was for me, right? And then I hear, as we get driving back to our lodge, I hear collective timeline shift, collective timeline shift, timeline shift, timeline shift, timeline shift. So what they were telling me is the rainbow was brought to me to help me understand this is all positive. We shifted a huge collective timeline just by the work we've been doing, by the things that are happening. And I know it looks like a hot mess out there, but I'm going to tell you right now, they clearly said to me, timeline shift, collective, because I was thinking it was me. And they made a point. I didn't even ask. They just were talking. And when they talk to me and really want me to get something, especially because I'm kind of stubborn sometimes, and I'll just be like, oh, okay. And then they have to repeat until I say, okay, I got it, which is what they did with me. Collective timeline shift. This is the day for the lunar eclipse. So what we're having happen right now is a massive timeline shift. The rainbow in and of itself, it's all good. It's all good. I know it doesn't look like it. I know it doesn't look like, but there is a lot of good happening out there too. And remember, we're being deluged with all the nasty, awful stuff that's occurring, okay? Because remember, it's the last hurrah to pull us in and keep us sunk down, right? But I want you to know that that was meant for all of you, all of us. It is for us individually. It is for us as a collective, and we timeline shifted. Now, I want to give you a little addition to this. So I have a good friend who does the same work out in Pennsylvania. So I had to tell her, I said, you're not going to believe this. I tell her the story. She writes me back. She goes, you won't believe what happened to me today. She shows me a picture. There's this beautiful rainbow that is showing up. Don't ask me how. Somehow on, I don't know, it's like a piece of carpet or flooring. I don't know, or maybe a wall. And she says, I can't believe you just said this about a timeline shift. She said, because last night I heard, or she goes, I just heard timeline shift, that I timeline shifted. I go, what? She goes, yeah. She goes, I had a timeline shift and I got a rainbow. And now you're telling me this for the collective. Well, you know how spirit works. That's the synchronicity to the information that I received that now you can take to the bank, right? So anyway, I wanted to share this with you because not only did I get this information, I got a synchronicity to back it up with my friend. Not that we need that, but you know, we kind of do as humans. Anyway, it was just so incredibly powerful. I want you to know that we, as upside down as it seems right now, we are being uplifted by all the work that we are doing, by the individual nature of your work, by the collective work, by what we're not seeing happening out there in individual people's journeys. So I just want you to hold fast to that. Look to the rainbow. Look to the rainbow. So anyway, I thought you would enjoy that story. It took me a while to be able to sit down and take some time. I've been swamped since I got back because I had like a week and a half of not working. So anyway, that was the day before the eclipse. And I wanted to make sure to get that out before the eclipse shows up again and our equinox. So we have the equinox coming up on, I believe it's the 22nd. And just before that, the 21st, we have a solar eclipse, a full solar eclipse. Now remember, at least from what I know, it's not covering the Americas, at least North America. I believe it's over more Africa, Europe. I could be wrong. But remember, a solar eclipse is a solar eclipse. It still affects us collectively, worldwide, and as Earth. All right? So we have that coming up. So what we've got is this rainbow shining over us. And, you know, I really want to watch The Wizard of Oz again. I need to find it because I want to see, because the song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I need to see what those words are. I don't remember. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. But there's something there going on, all right? I don't remember where the rainbow shows up in The Wizard of Oz. But I think there's more information though. And you guys may even have some of that information that you receive or that you know about. So feel free to share. Because I love putting the story together. I mean, I get a lot of information, but we all have information. So we put puzzle pieces together, then we get the picture of the larger journey. Anyway, or understanding. Okay, so the other thing that is happening now as we are moving into or in eclipse season, what I've noticed is a pattern. First of all, with myself, but then what I always get is I get multiple people having some similar situations. And I'm curious if any of you have noticed this, because it shows up differently for everyone and it may not be appropriate for you at this time. But what I'm getting as a theme, this is so fascinating, is being able to step outside your day-to-day pattern or reality, okay, kind of the groove we all get into, right? And being able to look at that reality differently and go, ooh, I need to change this. So I'll give you an example. Like you know when you go on vacation, like I just did. You go on vacation and you kind of can't not see what you need to work on. And, it could be something as simple as, I use the kind of ridiculous example of eating bags of potato chips when I shouldn't, right? I mean, that's a really minor thing. But, whatever those things are, all right, like how you want to adjust your journey. One of the big things that I encountered by going on vacation and looking, because I was away from my day-to-day, was I have to find better balance. As many of you know, I teach tennis later in the day in the evenings, and I have my own business, which is morning and typically early afternoon. It's fantastic, right? But I'm finding that I'm almost holding my breath each week with having to go teach tennis, even though I love it, right? So this is like finding a better balance, knowing that I can choose me, right? And I've done a really good job of that. But the thing is, my point in this is we're being given an opportunity to move out of our day-to-day, in whatever way that looks like for you, move out of the day-to-day, look at ourselves and our day-to-day more fully, and understand what we need to shift and change. Now, the trick of it is when we move back, we come back from vacation, family members come back after being gone, and you had some time alone, you went on a business trip, you had some free time to think, whatever it is, right? But there is that coming back into the day-to-day reality and not losing that. I have so many people that just over this last week and a half have witnessed this happen in their life, where they've had this opportunity, and it's been kind of eye-opening, where they've went, okay, now I see. But now what we got to do is not lose that, and we got to bring it back in to our day-to-day. The other thing that happened with me, I kind of went tech-free while I was on vacation. I don't want to say I'm not a big techie. I have an online business, but I'm not one to be on my phone a lot. I just like peace, quiet, that kind of thing. But I do love my Instagram, because Instagram I have curated beautifully. But there's still stuff on there that it'll pull you in, right? Well, what I realized, oh my gosh, big time, was I don't miss it. I don't miss it. The beautiful things are beautiful, right? I don't miss it. And so I was feeling like I don't need that in my life. I'm going to do other things instead. Well, what I realized when I came back home is, all right, I got back into my day-to-day, and remember that environment you're in can cause you to go right back into those old habits. I wanted to go look, and because what I'll do is, like 5 minutes before a session, I will, client session, I'll just go on Instagram, and it helps ground me too, right? And I'll just take a look and whatnot. But then in the evenings, I'll do that too, and that's where it can get out of control, right? And you see all these neat, beautiful things, you're learning a lot. Not saying I'm not ever going to go back again, but what I realized is I wanted to use that time, and I didn't realize how much time there was, for reading. I have so many books that I love, and so I had to get into that groove. I had to change that vibration or that energy, right, and that pattern. So I'm starting to read more in the evening. I haven't picked up Instagram at all. Yeah, I use my phone, but I'm not on Instagram. I haven't been on Instagram for probably 2 weeks, maybe once or twice for some quick thing. I don't even remember what it was. But, oh my gosh, it's weird, because it's opened up this whole opportunity for me to understand also, too, that I want to put some of that energy into something else. And so I'm doing some brain games to kind of keep me more active, flexibility, attention, speed, all of that. I'm doing a lot of that. That's now where I'm spending my time when I feel the need to want to go to Instagram, I'm like, no, let's go do one of those brain games. Oh my gosh, I already feel different. So anyway, it's really interesting. But my point in this is what they're helping me understand through the synchronicity of seeing other people going through this. And this is clients, all within like a 3-day window of me coming back. And then I've seen it this week. 3-day window of me coming back from vacation, and bam, all of this is hitting me and I'm seeing the pattern. So I'm wondering, and you can answer this or not, or just kind of ponder it yourself, and this is during eclipse season, is where are you being pulled away to be able to look at? Okay. How is that reflected, that idea being reflected for you? And there's many other ways that can happen, right? So we're being given, I keep getting this word, this space. Ooh, I just got chills. Space to really take a look at what it is that we need to change up in our journey that serves us, okay? That really, truly serves us. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because that's a huge theme, at least for September and for right now. So one more thing that we could probably take off on and really talk a whole lot more about, and the eclipse season actually supports this in kind of a tumultuous way oftentimes for people. It depends on where you're at in your journey. It really does. If we have been with eclipse season, what I've always been told by my team is it's an opportunity for, and what they keep showing now is like upside down, or they're showing a volcano with the lava coming out, for things that have been hidden to be seen. All right, and that can be in your own personal, primarily your own personal journey, and things that you're not addressing, that we're not seeing, and they will be made aware. They will come into our awareness as we are meant to see them, as we are ready for them. But also remember this, eclipse season is a time where even if you're not ready, the universe may say, oh no, we're doing this. So it could be like a Rubik's Cube moment. You hear me use that often, of when the universe comes in and in a moment's time, overnight, something has changed in your life, huge, been put together. They call that a Rubik's Cube moment. Okay, so eclipse season is a great opportunity for that, but it's also for you to witness and to see, to be able to recognize what you're not seeing, what is unseen potentially. Okay, it may also help accelerate your journey in what you're already seeing and working on too. Okay. They keep saying the word witnessing. The other thing that I want to just briefly talk about is this idea of our hopes and dreams and what we wish for and desire in our life. Keep in mind that our actions, how we operate day to day, affects the outcome of that dream or that hope becoming a reality. In other words, you can't really live in a different frequency and vibration and be able continuously and be able to expect that hope and dream to come, because it's a different vibration. It's a higher vibration, right? Versus continuing to do what we've been doing and hope that by some miracle it'll be handed to you. It's not how it works. I've seen this over and over and over again, is we can't continue. We have to do the understanding of what no longer serves and make decisions about what does serve us, oftentimes very difficult decisions, and start making the change. This journey, this life journey, as we know, and then when we get into the awakening, it's not for wussies. It's just not. But always remember, all right, our actions and what we do for ourselves and how we also treat others and all of that, but also how we're working our own journey, that affects what we see down the road. And we can continue to have those hopes and dreams and, wish for, but if we're still in that mindset of lack and no abundance, and yes, we're going through the journey of like moving out of that, and we may be in those circumstances where it's really tough right now, but that's the journey, is to start moving out of that. And that's what a lot of my videos have always been about. And of course, very much the work that I do with people one-on-one through my business. So anyway, needless to say, I really want you to kind of keep that in mind. Sometimes we'll lose particularly in these really stressful times, we can lose our perspective and we can go back into operating in old ways. But we do not want to be externalized, all right? We can't let the external world control where we're headed, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? I think that's all I'm going to share today, and I hope you are all doing well. I wish you a wonderful rest of September. I'm sure I will be in touch. I'll certainly be in touch again in September. And again, remember, if you would like to reach out, learn more about my services, you can check out purplerainhealing.com, where I help you along with this journey, helping you understand your trajectory, the things that you are desiring to work on to improve in your life, assist you forward with channeled information, conversation that we have around the past, the present, and the future for you, and helping you understand all that is going on in your life from a higher perspective, putting those puzzle pieces together for you for your journey forward. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.